This video is going to be about bits and pieces, really, Excel bits and pieces. We're going to talk about formulas, and in particular we'll talk about the payment formula for a start. Let's say we took out a loan. We said we took £200,000 to buy a house, and the interest rate was 2.5% per annum. But we're going to pay it off monthly, so we need to calculate the monthly payments. And it's formatted as percentage. We're going to pay it off in 25 years, and the total number of payments is therefore going to be 25 by 12. All I want to do is to work out how much of the mortgage you have to pay off each month. So we start off by going to our formula here, the insert function. Well, I've got the most recently used. You might just type in here PMT to find it, or you might like to try and look through the financial functions. In any case, you need to find PMT, and I'll click OK. The rate is the number of periods is this. The principal value is the amount we start off with. Now the future value is 0, so we can just leave that 0 by default. Type means whether you pay it off by at the end of the month or the start of the month. Now let's take a look at this, the help on the function, and then take a look down, and it says down here 0 or omitted. Down here it says 0 or omitted. That means at the end of the period. I think that's what mortgage companies usually do. They allow you to have a month's grace, if you like, and then start paying off your mortgage at the end. So it's 0, so that is in fact the default, so we can leave that as a. Now that's the calculation. It's in red, so it's telling us that it's going to, you have to pay £897.23 every month. We could actually calculate and see how much we paid off. If you multiply this, multiply it by the amount, then that's the total amount that you would pay, which is 200. So you pay all that extra amount in interest. I'll just delete that for the moment. I want to talk now about worksheet protection. There's a subtlety involved in worksheet protection. You might think it's just a matter of protecting it, which we will actually do. So if I click up here in the review part of it, it's a little bit hard to find sometimes, under review and protect sheet. So if I click that, protect the sheet, and then just accept all the defaults. Now if I try and change something, it complains. I can try and change the text, and I can try and change those numbers as well, and it will complain about that. Now what if I just want to, I'll just unprotect it first of all, but what if I want to unprotect the numbers here, for example? Well, and keep this fixed boilerplate, so I can't change that. Well, we have to sort of make a hole in our sheet, and the way we do that is to go to format the cells and then unlock them. Now if I protect the sheet and try to change this stuff here, then the boilerplate is not changeable. But if I change this, if I try to change this, it does allow me to change the numbers. Okay, so I can now just unprotect the sheet. Data tables. Let's say I had this table and I want to find 10% of that. So if I say equals 10% and then multiply by this, I'll just make those absolute reference. So if I go back and click on that C4 at the top there, press the F4 key, that gives me an absolute reference for that, and then F4 key on this one. So what I want to do is to try and drag the formulas down and then try and drag them down to, now it's a little bit tricky. I'll just delete, well, I won't delete the first formula, so let me just delete this stuff here, and then I'll delete this. Now, so if I try dragging across, now I'm not going to spend much time doing this, but let's see, it changed from E. Well, it didn't change at all, so I think I have to keep this one not absolute reference. If I take the dollar now, the dollar means that the thing to the right is fixed, so the D won't be fixed. And then if I drag across here, I think that's working so far. But you see, it's quite a to-do all this. Then I have to think about dragging down which one I'm going to keep fixed and so on. So it's a little bit tricky. Now, a data table is a bit strange, actually. I'll just get rid of that. Okay. Now, a data table is what we have to do is to put in a value, an example value. And we're talking about, for example, 10%. It is a little strange, all this. Then we actually make an example calculation. Then I need to go to data, what if analysis, and there's my data table. This is a little strange as well, but the row input cell, I forgot to do something. I forgot to highlight the whole table, and I forgot to do something else. I forgot to put an example in here. So what I need to do is to click equals. You won't be able to see that very well because I've made it light colored, font color, but I have to just click on, just watch me as I click on the C1, and that you can see the C1. That places in there, you probably can't see it, that says 100 in there. So that's an example calculation. So what I forgot to do before was to highlight the whole thing. So I go to data, what if analysis, data table. Now the row input cell is all of the rows down here, and the example of that is B1. And the column input is all this stuff across the top, and an example of that is A1. And then click OK, and you see it fills in all the values for me. Index match. I must admit I'm not an expert on index match because I much prefer to use Excel VBA when things start to get a bit complex, which they can indeed with index match. But never mind. Let's see if we can find the position of Joe in that list. Well, it's the second one down. Let's see if match can do that for us. So we can type in here equals match, and then the thing that we're trying to match, then where we're looking for it, and we want to find an exact match, so we'll put a 0. So you should find that that gives the position 2. It's the second one down. Incidentally, we could leave out the comma 0 up here, and that will return the 2 as well. Incidentally, here's a little trick. Let's say we want to have the words equal match on our sheet. If I very carefully click in front of the equal and put an apostrophe, and that makes it into text, so you don't actually get the formula. You can't see the apostrophe in here, but now what I'm going to do is just drag that across there, and I've got a copy of it. I'm going to go back to the first one and delete the apostrophe, and that gives the actual value and the formula alongside so we can see what we're doing. I'm now going to try the index. Before I do that, I'm just going to make my table a bit bigger here. Make a two-dimensional table to illustrate the index. So for the index, I'm going to say equals index, and then it's telling me here the array, so I can highlight the array with a comma. And I want to go the second row down and the second column, so 2, 2. That's the idea of index, just using the coordinates, if you like, within that array. So you see that that finds the 20 for me. Let me do the same old trick to put it beside. So I'm going to put that apostrophe in there, and then I'm going to just drag it across and go back to the first one, get rid of the apostrophe, so it returns it to a formula, and we can see it beside. I suppose quite a famous use of index match is to emulate VLOOKUP, because VLOOKUP has some shortcomings. So what I'm going to do is just remind you how we use VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP, we're looking up the value, we're looking up Joe, for example, and then we're looking in the table here, and then we're looking into column 2, and then we're going to find an exact match, and that should return the 20. So what I'm going to do in here is to emulate that using index match. So I'm going to go and try and emulate VLOOKUP using index match. Let me first please just copy this formula down. It's probably best if I just do it again, actually. If I do copy equals index, and then the range, and then comma 2, comma 2. Remember that this is the row and then the column. And you might remember that match is returning a column. You're finding the position of Joe in here. So what I'm going to do, and you might get a bit lost here, but try to follow what I'm doing, but you can always just scrutinize the video again. But you see, what I'm going to do is take the match. Now remember, match picks up the row of Joe. I'm going to carefully copy that, and then I'm going to go in here, and which one was the row here? It was this one here, was it not? That was the row, so I'll paste the match in there, and then it gives you the same result. Now there you are. That's the same result as VLOOKUP. And why do I go to this bother? Well, do you remember when we use VLOOKUP, VLOOKUP can only go this way across. It can only look down here and find something corresponding in here. What if you wanted to look down in this column to find something in there? VLOOKUP just won't do it. So what people do, they adjust index match, which can use the negative numbers, and you can make index match work backwards. As I say, I'd rather I wrote a completely new function in VBA, which is a lot easier to understand, a bit more succinct. But there you are, index match. String handling. A string is a piece of text. We have these string handling functions, for example, left, looking in the text, and we want to just extract the 2 characters to the left, which is what that does. We have also, for example, we have right as well. You could try that. We have mid, which takes a look at the text, and then what we do here is to find the starting position in the string, which is position. Let's say we're looking for the U, that's starting position, sorry, the O, which is starting position 2 here. But how many characters do I want to take out? I want to take out 3 characters. So starting at O, you'll go US. So that should return those 3 characters. Find. What we're doing here is we're looking for something. If you're looking for the character US within our text, so that's the text we're looking for within that, and then that should give you the position of US. You see, so it starts at the U and extracts the 3 characters, which is, it looks for the position of the U. So you can see how you can use all these in combination. You can have nested with one within the other to extract. It's very important, really, if you've got lots of data coming in a CSV file and you want to strip out the dots or something like that, then these are the types of functions that you'll be using.